Hi everyone, this is the second part of this ridiculously big tier list that goes on for about a decade. And actually it looks like it's all loaded for this time, so I guess I can actually check if all the characters are accurate, because I moved some that I assumed were the characters I thought they were, based on the 1 Minute Melee and DBX tier lists, and I just sort of assumed that I'd guessed the character's position correctly alphabetically and then moved them into position. So hopefully I did. I don't see any outstanding mistakes. It all looks correct, so I think I am just built like that. That is incredibly good at the least useful skills. Yeah, so today, me and my co-host Boomstick will be starting with Anti-Monitor. What do you think? Very insightful.
I don't have much opinion on the anti-monitor personally.
But he's awesome. He's got a funny face, Don. You like funny
Well, because
faces.
as I understand, the anti-monitor is kind of just he has a funny face, but he feels like he's kind of just there to be strong and a threat.
That seems like AP profiling, to be honest.
It may be. It very well could be.
Yeah, he does have a matchup. He does have Anti-Spiral. You see, because they both have anti in the name and are cosmic villains. And like, don't you want to see Anti-Spiral? You should love Anti-Spiral.
I mean, he's okay, but he's mainly he serves a narrative purpose, but
So the matchup makes
yeah,
sense. They're strong and they're okay and they serve a narrative
yeah,
purpose. Anyway, I don't really think we need
yeah.
Anti-Monitor. Like, I have nothing against Anti-Monitor, unlike some people apparently, but I just do not think he's necessary for Death Battle. So we have Atrocitus. Um, so I know a lot of people want more Lantern
Um,
matchups, right?
I've sort of come around to Atrocitus versus Jiren. I don't mind it.
I I was gonna say I get it, and then I thought about it for a second. It's like, do I though? Do I really?
I've gaslit myself into liking Jiren because me and my friend, when I was making him watch Dragon Ball Super, had this dumbass joke where we would replace mundane things that he was doing. That we would replace the first letter with J, like punching is chunching, or an orb is now a jorb,
Well, that
and
was not
we
replacing,
would
but
say it like, "Holy shit, it's his iconic jorb. There's no way Goku's gonna survive this."
mm-hmm. That does sound like that does exactly sound like you. Uh, I don't. The thing is, I don't think I get the matchup beyond they are aliens. They are. I was gonna say they are red, but the guy's name is Jiren the Grey, not Jiren the Red. Um, they are very big.
They had a family, and then their family died, and they were so mad about it that they committed to just being the biggest asshole ever.
I don't think Jiren wants to be the biggest asshole ever. I don't think that's his goal in the end.
I don't know, dude, because he was gonna fucking kill Goku's friends just because Goku was trying to teach him how cool friendship was.
I don't think he's going to be
Because
the big
Jiren's
asshole
whole
ever. I
bit
think he
was, I
happens to
cannot
be.
have friends because if I focus on having friends over having power, then I'm gonna lose stuff again. So I have to be like a dick and push people away.
I think that's a little different to what Atrocitus is going through, I'm going to be honest. I think by that same metric, you could do Batman
Well,
versus Jiren.
imagine
But Batman versus Jiren sounds really
I
dumb.
imagine he the fight would start over Atrocitus trying to tempt him with a Red Lantern ring.
Yeah. Take this Red Lantern ring. No. That's your setup.
You want ultimate power, right? This power ring draws on rage. You got plenty of this. It could be pretty badass. He's like, I'm a superhero. I'm gonna beat your head in.
It was like, no, you're not, and then just kills him. The implication being that Atrocitus just drops his like voice for the most mundane voice possible, just to say no, and then winning. Yeah, Atrocitus for me. I like Atrocitus, but I don't think he's necessary. I don't like. I guess of the Lantern villains, I'd rather see him over Sinestro, just because of Sinestro's misunderstanding of the concept of consent, which makes him a very unappealing character. But then I don't know if Atrocitus has done that either, to be honest. He does have a cat though, so he does have a pet cat, which I think Don identifies with. He's also very tall, which I think Don identifies with. So maybe Don's just projecting a bit of himself onto Atrocitus because he's tall and a cat and he likes cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't hear no denial. I'll put him in indifferent because I would put him at the bottom, but it seems Don's interested, so the overall ranking is indifferent. That's where that goes. We now have Batwing. Well, come on. I can't be the only guy having commentary in this.
I mean, Batwing's cool. As far as I know, he's not like the most significant guy ever.
Yeah, I'm wondering why he's on this list. I could probably think of several DC characters who should be on here over Batwing. Wait, was I the one who suggested Batwing? No, I'm not. Okay. I was gonna say if that was my suggestion, because it was.
No, I can absolutely think of DC characters that should be in over Batwing.
Yeah. So, I think the simple solution is just no need. Honestly, who needs Batwing on the show? Batwing's cool, but we've got so many DC characters already. You kind of would only want the most necessary and interesting DC characters to get on, and Batwing I don't think's in it. You could make an argument for Beast Boy, though. Okay, again, I would like to not be the only guy commenting during this video. Beast Boy, I like him. His name's Garfield. What matchups does Beast Boy have? Like, beyond...
Well, give me just a sec.
Alright, I'll just talk in your place. Like, beyond Ben 10, what matchups does Beast Boy have? I know there's a Marvel guy. He's probably only known because he was in Superhero Squad show. But I'm at a loss, because Beast Boy's like return matchup would be, well, like not return, but his matchup would be Ben 10. But then not only would that not be all that interesting, but it also risks Beast Boy winning, which I can't imagine would get a good response. And also, I just feel like that's like a big culprit of how much, like, it would be so much more interesting if Ben 10 didn't have Alien X, because I don't think Beast Boy can play off Alien X beyond just beating him up. And like even then, it is a bunch of normal animals for the most part. Beast Boy obviously does have some aliens, mostly normal animals though, against Ben 10's all alien shtick. And I feel like with Beast Boy, it'd be most interesting seeing him fight someone else who just does normal animals, because I don't think, a lemur versus a Humongousaur would be all that exciting to watch. You know, I'm not dying to see Way Big versus a kangaroo. And I think focusing on just the aliens Beast Boy could turn into, while that would be interesting in the sense that you are highlighting something rarely seen in most adaptations, it's also not what people think of most. It's not what people are going to immediately want to see with Beast Boy. And I just don't know if the normal animals bounce off Ben 10 well. It doesn't have the vibe to me. And that's only compounded with the inclusion of aliens. So now it's your turn.
Maybe I'm back now?
Yo.
My microphone decided it didn't work anymore. That was a pretty good bit.
Awesome. So what's your thoughts?
My thoughts on, we were on Beast Boy, right?
Mm-hmm. I was talking about how, while Ben 10 makes sense, I don't know if Ben's aliens versus Beast Boy's normal animals would be most interesting. And I think focusing on just the aliens Beast Boy can turn into takes away from the main mass appeal of Beast Boy and what people know him for. And that only gets worse when you include Alien X, to the point where the dynamic becomes almost entirely unworkable, because you have to rely on just Beast Boy beating the crap out of Alien X with his fists. And that's not to mention the existing issue of, do we really want Ben 10 brought back?
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to Ben coming back against the right opponent that gives him, like, something different to do. With Beast Boy, you run into an issue with both of his, like, notable matchups of, like you mentioned, normal animals against aliens isn't all that interesting, but then if you have him against Reptile from Marvel, every dinosaur he can turn into, Beast Boy can also turn into, and then every other animal as well. So it's like nothing is ever going to really play into Beast Boy's versatility, at least off the top of my head, unless it's another character that can also just, like, take the shape of any creature they can think of.
Let me look up if Reptile has turned into alien dinosaurs. Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
Also, I know you put him down at the bottom without mentioning him, but I do want to briefly address the Batman Who Laughs, because I know him versus the Maker has been semi-popular recently. My stance on that is a stance I feel is perhaps a little underrated in the versus community. Of everybody universally agrees with that matchup, everybody, quote unquote everybody, that it's all about the Maker being cool and him getting to kick the Batman Who Laughs ass, which I doubt he even does. But even if it's a matchup where the guy I like gets to be cool and the guy I don't like gets to get his ass kicked, I'm not necessarily enthralled by a matchup where half of the analysis is still going to be a guy I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still have to see them. They're still there.
Also, I don't know if the Maker does beat him, because when the fuckwit who sniffs, like, is fighting, was it Perpetua or Prolaya? I don't remember. I don't really care either. Their fight is literally just destroying stories. Like, on a narrative level, they are punching each other so hard that stories are just being erased. So, you know, can the Maker deal with that? I don't know. But that seems like a pretty big deal. So let's go back to Beast Boy, though. I think for me, Beast Boy has to be a case of, I'd like to see him, I like him, but I don't really have a matchup I like enough to be like, yeah, let's do that on Death Battle. I say as if, like, I'm Ben Singer himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, speak now if you...
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment.
He's right next to Rock Howard. Alright, who's next? Big Barda.
I don't disagree.
I'm glad you don't disagree. You couldn't really disagree with the fact that the next character.
I like Big Barda. I would like to see Big Barda. We talked about
Right, wait,
her versus Gamora in the first half.
where the hell did I put Gamora? I'm realizing that I did that whole thing where I moved all the DC characters into the same tier as their respective Marvels. Here we go. Right behind. Oh, by the way, everyone, I went and grabbed all the 1 Minute Melee characters from the 1 Minute Melee video and put them in the tiers they were in for that video. That's why, like, Meruem's on here, but we haven't gotten to Hunter x Hunter yet, and won't for a while yet. Right. Bizarro! My boy. I have matchups I like for him. They are very much more not Death Battle coded, though. Like, Pollution Man. That's very more not Death Battle coded matchup than an actual Death Battle coded one. And I don't like his other matchups. I know people have pushed Bizarro versus Red Hulk. I think Bizarro versus regular Hulk makes more sense than that. Like, Red Hulk is
Yeah?
not the, Red Hulk is not the Hulk.
I'm not super
who is-
picky about a Bizarro matchup.
Here's the thing. Red Hulk is not the Hulk that is a misunderstood guy who's not evil or anything, but is often seen as evil because what he does is destructive by nature. You know, that's not Red Hulk's bit. That's not Red Hulk's bit. That's regular Hulk's bit. The misunderstood, like...
Claw.
Yeah, Claw versus... Specifically just Claw versus Bizarro. But... Oh, fuck, I should have told Adam to put Claw from Ninja Turtles on here. Damn it. But Bizarro... I think this is a case... I don't even know if I say I want to see him. I like Bizarro. But in the end, he's going to be Superman with less stuff and the temperature of his attacks is reversed. You know? I'm sure they could do something fun with him, like...
Yeah.
But this is going to be a case like mostly indifference to me. I don't need to see him. I'm not opposed to seeing him. I just it's a case of I'd be happy to see him, but I'm not asking for it. Black Manta. So Black Manta's matchups are Lancelot from Fate and Killmonger from Marvel. Neither of which I'm sure I'm sold on, because Killmonger, to my knowledge, is a street tier, and Black Manta is not. Maybe Killmonger's gotten a vibranium suit in the comics since the Black Panther movie, but that's not really his bit. And while they would include it, I just don't know. Black Manta's still going to be throttling him. On the other hand, Lancelot from Fate, the moment he makes physical contact with Black Manta, he's just won. Because anything he registers as a weapon, if he touches, he gets control of. And Black Manta literally is wearing a suit with a giant laser cannon on top of it. So, if a fighter jet...
I suppose that's a fair assessment.
A fighter jet registers as a weapon to Lancelot. Not a vehicle, not a weaponized vehicle, just a straight-up weapon. So would that suit. So, either way, you have a dynamic I'm not sure I'm sold on. I think it's funny that Manta and Lancelot are both angry guys in black armor who get really mad at a guy named Arthur. But that's an amusing parallel. But I'm not sold on it. You know, you can make a lot of parallels, but I just... The fact that instant contact is just a win for Lancelot... Yeah, it is a bit of a turn-off. And also, at the same time, I feel like noting... Black Manta's appeal is that he's just a massive douchebag. Like, he's one of the premier haters of DC. But I just don't think he plays into that as entertainingly as Reverse Flash, from my experience.
No, that's probably a pretty fair assessment, because, like, Black Manta, I would say, is more singularly defined by not liking Aquaman or having a problem with him, where it's like, obviously that's Reverse Flash's main thing, but he's a pretty charismatic character just by his own right as well.
Yeah, Eobard takes more pleasure from it, while Manta is a lot more kind of just dickish, in the sense of like, Manta kills Arthur's child. Eobard would parade that fact around with Barry because it's funny to him. Manta would just do it, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think Manta's needed. I just think that he's irrelevant. I guess irrelevant's kind of mean. I wouldn't put him at the bottom because there is an appeal. He at least has matchups, which I can't say for fucking Batwing, but I don't know. Not really here for Manta. Bleez. Well done. Thoughts?
I don't have a Bleez matchup, but I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I still kind of like Bleez versus Purgatory from Chaos Comics, and to a degree, even Bleez versus Red She-Hulk. So, like, I'm gonna happily put her in Would Be Neat and no higher because that's about it. All right, Blue Beetle, the Don character. This is, of course, specifically the only one people care about.
It is the me character. Jaime is pretty cool. I would like to see him on Death Battle a whole lot. For a while, there wasn't really a matchup I liked, but I've come around on the idea of Blue Beetle versus Guyver a good bit. I think it sounds pretty cool. You could do a good bit with it. The outcome is pretty clear, unless there's something about Guyver I just didn't know.
Every Blue Beetle. They're all pretty clear.
Yeah. But I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty neat.
I think Blue Beetle for me is in the neat category. I'm not dying with for any of his matchups though personally. It's maybe down for it. I'll put it down for it because I think Blue Beetle's kind of cool at least. He's got cool energy. Brainiac. So
yeah,
I think Ben himself probably put it best with Brainiac, where he's cool, but fighting is not like the thing with Brainiac. Is him throwing hands is not the appeal, and you could do it, but look, his matchups, Shockwave. I don't want to see Shockwave. Trazyn the Infinite. They're not gonna use Trazyn. And Ultron opens itself up to including God Brainiac, and I fucking hate God Brainiac, so no thank you. I know Rena's gonna be real upset that I'm not going, oh, Brainiac Ultron, that's so great, but she also should have fucking seen that coming because she knows me well enough. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not dying to see Brainiac. I don't necessarily think I even want him on the show, and I don't think his matchups are all that good.
that's pretty fair. I think, me personally, I don't have a problem with Ultron versus Brainiac. It sounds neat enough. It sounds like maybe you could just give Ultron something cool to do. Not that Sigma didn't, but I feel like Ultron versus Sigma was the most obvious, like, no shit, Ultron won.
I think Sigma's the guy who needs an episode to do cool things, because most of the cool things in that episode were Ultron.
That may be true. That said, I don't like Sigma enough to see him back. I think Sigma kind of sucks.
Okay, but don't you want to see him versus the leader of Shocker?
No.
Wouldn't that be awesome? You get because it's the only win.
Which leader of Shocker even?
They're all the same guy. That's the bit. Every time you think someone else is the villain in Mega Man X, no, it's just Sigma in a slightly different body. Every time you think someone else is the villain in Showa Kamen Rider, no, it's just the great leader of Shocker, but in a different body.
It's crazy because that applies to classic Mega Man 2, though, because that's just every time it's Wily.
Yeah, but he's not in a different body. He's in a different mech, but not in a different entire body the way the leader of Shocker seems to be able to do, inexplicably. You get to see the giant time robot from Superhero Tyson GP. Yeah. Because that's the only win con either of them have, is the leader of Shocker erasing Sigma from time. With that machine. And I think that would be really funny, because it looks so dumb. And it means Superhero Tyson, I'm not Death Battle.
It does.
Sorry, on Death Battle. I said not Death Battle, but no. If I use a Kamen Rider with any connection to Superhero Tyson, I will include something from Superhero Tyson, because that is just what Not Death Battle would do. Like, if I use Decade, I would have him job.
What
like
Kamen Rider?
Tyson. Well, I guess in the Ichigo, I would give him the Lockseed, because I think it'd be fun. The Showa Lockseed. If I used Nego, I would probably include the fact that he could just will himself back to life, through like a machine. Like all the main character writers have stuff they get from the Tyson films, like who were they?
Wizard has a Sentai ring.
Forze, Wizard, Gaim, Drive, and of course the one directly after Drive, X-Aid.
Yeah. Nothing in between.
Definitely didn't skip a year and a rider with the Tyson series. No worries.
No, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, Brainiac, I don't think he's needed. I don't think Brainiac is needed.
I don't either.
Yeah. I've said my piece. Captain Boomerang. Oh, mate! Why is his name slightly higher up than the others in that box? Oh my god. I can't unsee that now. Why is his name slightly higher than the others? Do you see that?
Just to annoy you. I do see it.
Adam, if you're gonna do a funny, make it upside down, you bloody idiot. So Captain Boomerang's matchup is, I believe, the New Zealander from TF2. Well, am I correct?
Yeah, that is a matchup for him.
That is the matchup. And like,
well, hold on. Let's not discount Boomerang from Marvel Comics.
Hold on. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna put him in Not Death Battle moment. Because Boomerang versus Captain Boomerang is a Not Death Battle matchup. Let's be honest.
I think the funniest thing about Boomerang as a character is that him and Spider-Man were just roommates for a while.
I think the funniest thing is that Boomerang is not a guy who throws boomerangs as much as he is a boomerang. Like, he just is one. So, realistically, this matchup, you could have Captain Boomerang throw him.
I think I had heard that he didn't even want to be the boomerang guy. That's the suit he was given. He's like, alright, I guess I do boomerangs now.
That is fantastic. I love this guy. I mean, what a fucking character. The Boomerang. What's crazy is, like, sometimes his suit is made to not even look that bad, because he's had multiple different designs.
It looks kind of cool, yeah.
But, I mean, it's only sometimes, because sometimes he is just the purple guy with the white V on his chest, which is significantly less cool. Or he's got, like, the white and red uniform with just, like, the big letter B on it. Like, okay, I guess that could stand for Boomerang. I guess maybe the most interesting thing is that they have, like... No, okay, the most interesting thing is the fact that the whole bit is boomerangs. I'm not even gonna, like, try to think of anything else. That is the most interesting bit, because it's so stupid. Right. Captain Carrot. I did not suggest this one.
I don't know anything about Captain Carrot. I know of him, but...
I know that he is strong and he eat carrot.
He can fight,
I believe there's an interesting thing where he, like, comes from a, like, world of cartoons. So, during, like, Darkest Night, not Darkest Night. Is it Darkest? During Death Metal, because he's one of like the characters. Like when I was researching Doctor Manhattan for Not Death Battle, I had to read those comics, and Captain Carrot's actually quite prominent in them, and he's just this really, honestly, surprisingly down to earth guy who comes from a cartoon world. I guess I could see him versus Spider-Ham being a thing. Not that I think Spider-Ham has like a ghost of a chance here, because Carrot does seem really fucking strong. But he is like a cartoon character brought into the other worlds, in the same sense as Spider-Ham. Is that why he's on this? Because Spider-Ham versus Captain Carrot, it's Superman versus Spider-Man, but the version.
Yeah, I
cartoon.
mean, I guess if he's got something cool going on, I wouldn't mind learning about it.
I think the most interesting thing is that after everything was said and done in Rebirth, he still remembers like the New 52 and all that somehow. I guess with Captain Carrot, I'll put him in above Spider-Man.
I suppose that could be the case.
I'll put him in indifferent, because I would not be opposed to him. Unlike Spider-Ham, I think Captain Carrot actually has something interesting going on, just by the fact that he's actually got a character. Like Spider-Ham's definitely got a personality, but he's a lot more one note. In my experience, I should say, he seems more one note than what I know of Captain Carrot. Now, I'm not saying I'm correct there. If he is more interesting and he actually does play off Carrot well, then maybe I'd say, yeah, do that for Death Battle. Sounds fun. Because, like, I can see the appeal. That said, I do think it is like a Herald versus a Street tier, so yeah. Yeah. Would you like to read out who's next?
Yeah.
That was a very long delay. There's gonna be a lot of awkward pauses in this one. But yeah, who's next on?
That's Captain Carrot.
Does make me think a lot of you actually.
Hold on, I lost my place. Hold on. Let me swipe real quick.
Alright, yeah, because you're not moving them up into a tier.
Next is Captain Cold.
Yeah, Captain Cold. I don't need to see him.
Yeah, to be completely transparent, my internet is kind of fucking dying right now. Like, oh lord.
Yeah, I like Captain Cold. I really do. No, I don't need you. I don't need him here. Get out of here, man.
But Captain Cold's pretty funny. I wouldn't mind him versus Shocker. That seems fun. I think the Rogues are a pretty fun group. I think Captain Cold seems like a pretty fun guy.
I did forget about the Shocker matchup. I'm gonna have to move him up. I forgot about the Shocker matchup. That one is quite funny. Yeah, you know, I'm moving to indifferent because it is quite amusing. But I don't care enough about Captain Cold or Shocker to be like, yeah, do it. We have Cheetah. It's the Wonder Woman villain who is a Catwoman, and
what?
She's got claws. I don't give a shit about Cheetah.
But he's Captain Cold.
Not Captain Cold, Cheetah. Captain Cold's cool. Like, I like Captain Cold. Cheetah, I don't fucking care. Alright, I can feel that he's... what I can tell has happened, I believe, is that I've said a thing, and then either Don's response was delayed, or him even hearing it was delayed. So, I'm just gonna talk ahead while his internet tries to catch up. We have John Constantine. For me, like probably near the top. I think he's probably the most interesting, or among the most interesting DC characters you could put in Death Battle right now. especially in terms of like he's got those cosmic stats potentially, but that's not really gonna be the big draw. I don't think I'll put him at the top because the matchup I like for him is the Doctor, but I don't feel like we need the Doctor to come back. And the other matchup is, of course, Rhino, who's really cool. My experience with him is that, yes, he's cool, and he has a Cool Cat reference. I've decided it's a reference to Cool Cat in his arsenal. But as a character, he's not the most exciting. But I wouldn't mind seeing it. I'd be all down with seeing it. The waiting period's going to be absolute bull cider, but the episode should be cool. I just don't know if they would, like, budget-wise, be able to capture all with Constantine versus Rhino, because one of the things is that one of those guys is decidedly all summoner. That's his whole bit, is being a summoner. He summons things to fight for him. And I'm sure Moro could do it, but is Moro a fan of either? I don't know. And unless I know for a fact he is and would be wanting to do it solo, I'm not sure. And even then, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Because, like, he did an army battle with Mario characters, but I feel like the Mario and Sonic cast are not as complexly designed as some of the bullshit in Megami Tensei. I believe Don just agreed with me too. This will load while I scroll down. So yeah, you may speak your piece on it now. Okay, or not. Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne. I'm trying to think of like a single thing to say about Damian. I guess the appeal is the only Robin that you would use the name Robin for, because oh wait, is he? Because Dick Grayson's Nightwing, Jason Todd is Red Hood. Tim Drake is Red Robin, I think. So Damian Wayne is just Robin. Is that the appeal here, I guess? Because I'm just trying to think. Or is it because Damian Wayne's the one with... Wait, is Damian Wayne the one with the stick, or is that Tim Drake? Oh, God. Nah, that's Tim Drake. I think it's Tim Drake versus Donatello is the matchup that people have. Because he's got a stick and he's smart. Damian... God, I'm trying to think if I ever even heard of a Damian Wayne matchup. I'm going to have to Google this, because...
I think is Killua, which, like, doesn't sound like they'd play off each other that interestingly.
Killua.
Like, I can see the comparison for sure, but I just don't know if their fighting styles, like, mesh super well.
I'm going to put Damian at the bottom. I can't even think of an appeal for him beyond the vague appeal of he's the one Robin that you can just call Robin.
Yeah, I suppose.
Alright, Firestorm's next. You know, it'd be great if his opponent was on the list. Adam. Where's Iceman?
Who's it? Wait, who's his opponent? Oh, okay.
You know, it's funny because I had that whole bit about going, where's Iceman in the Marvel section? And just yesterday, I built more of the Lego X-Mansion, and who would be in the bag I built but Iceman? I'm just saying, maybe things are lining up.
It's pretty funny.
I
think Firestorm's cool. I wouldn't mind seeing him. He's cool.
Is Firestorm versus Iceman cool? No, I don't actually like it at all. But I guess for me, Firestorm's like I'd like to see him, but I don't have a matchup for him kind of character. Something like Iceman.
Firestorm versus Iceman, I wouldn't be too terribly bothered if it happened. It's not a matchup I have a whole lot of stake in, but like I like the characters well enough, so.
Alright, Godspeed. So Godspeed's one of the ones that I've made the matchup for. I made the matchup, which is Death Rider. And his other matchup's Garo, and I think that sucks. So we're gonna go with Godspeed versus Death Rider. I like it a lot. I would really like to see the dynamic of like the speedsters of DC that can outrun anything versus the Ghost Riders of Marvel that you can never outrun. How's that dynamic gonna work? Will they do it? Will they have it be like this, like intergalactic chase scene as the fight set
Yeah.
piece, something interesting and unique like that? Maybe they would. I think it'd be cool to see. I'd put it pretty high up actually. 'Cause, I mean, I guess I'm biased though.
I think it seems neat, but I can't say Godspeed's a character I've ever been particularly interested in based on like the little I know about him.
Unlike Death Rider.
Yeah, well, Death Rider's
Your
funny.
favorite character, Daniel Ketch. What a guy
He's funny conceptually.
What a guy that is. Alright, Gorilla Grodd. Fucking...
I don't fucking care about Gorilla Grodd. I
No,
gotta be real. I do not fucking care about
I
him.
don't hate Grodd. I think his peak of his existence was saying Barack Obama. But I mean, I think that says all I need to say. The peak of Grodd's existence was when he said Barack Obama's name. His mashups are the Powerpuff Girls thing, the monkey and
Mojo Jojo.
and Winston Overwatch. To which I will remind you that Gorilla Grodd's main arch rival is the fucking Flash. So when we're thinking about like the matchups and who wins, this is a guy who regularly fights the Flash. Which is really dumb because he is just a gorilla, to my knowledge. So I guess that could imply that gorillas in DC are just really fucking strong, which would be backed up by Beast Boy. But I'm gonna put him in no, mate. I don't need Gorilla Grodd. And I guess speaking of characters I don't need, Hawkman is next.
Okay, no, but think about it. Hawkman versus the Immortal from Invincible.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I'd like to say very not Death Battle coded matchup, and it is. But I feel like Professor Ozpin from Ruby versus the Immortal is more not Death Battle coded and really funny.
Yeah?
I guess in general I have to put Hawkman in not Death Battle because he just has that energy of a guy I would use. Like, what DC Herald is going to be on Not Death Battle? Oh, of course, it's gonna be Hawkman. Everyone's favorite. He's the guy with a mace who hits people with it. You know, he's the guy.
It's gonna be Hawkman versus Harvey Birdman.
To be honest, that might be the matchup I would do. Because that sounds dumb.
Birdman.
But then there's also... Nah, yeah, we'll leave it at that. Alright, Huntress.
She's neat. I don't mind her.
God. Do we need to see Huntress, though?
Is there like a popular Huntress matchup?
I'm gonna look it up. It better not be just some random archer from Marvel.
It's gonna be Kate Bishop, I bet.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was worried about. Alright, I look up Huntress Death Battle and... Oh, that's interesting. X-23, Punisher.
I can see it.
The Fear? Whoever that is. Starfire? But that's not... But that's...
They know each other.
Yeah. Okay. Mockingbird. These all sound
I could see
really
Mockingbird. I could see X-23.
I I'm just gonna have to put her. I'm not gonna put her at the bottom, but I'm not gonna put her very high. I don't think there's much that I'm excited to see from Huntress. If I was gonna see a DC Archer, I would want to see Green Arrow come back because I actually really like Green Arrow. Against who? Fuck knows. But Katana, the second character with a name that sounds like that on this list. Did you know that
Her sword traps the
traps the
souls of
souls?
its victims.
Okay, I'm glad we were going the same direction there. God.
To cut down enemies like mowing the lawn.
Who fucking actually gives a shit? Her matchup is a Kame.
I think
believe.
it would be funny.
A Kame could kill a Kame, which sounds about as unfair as it is. But here's the thing, you say it sounds like it'd be funny, but half that analysis is still going to be talking about a character whose whole thing is that she's got a sword that does something that is not applicable to this fight.
She should fight Kenshi for Mortal Kombat because he also has a sword with souls in it.
Yeah, but he's got stuff going on. That's the problem.
Well, she might have stuff going on. I haven't read enough comics
Yeah,
that
okay. I'm gonna put Katana slightly above the bottom because there's the amusement factor of, hey, it's the character Rick Flag talks about weirdly. I shouldn't word it like that. That makes it sound worse than it is. King Shark. So we did just talk about King Shark versus Mega Shark not long ago.
Yeah.
King Shark. I'm gonna be honest. I would be all for seeing King Shark just because he's so dumb. He is a demigod shark creature that is really fucking strong, and that's it. That's his whole bit. Is I look like a shark, but I'm actually a god. And everyone's reaction is along the lines of, okay.
King Shark is a shark.
I'm gonna put him in Not Death Battle. He kind of just is a Not Death Battle character. And I'm gonna be honest, Kite Man is looking very tasty for that tier as well. But the difference is Kite Man's got a matchup.
Yeah, I could see it.
Regular Death Battle, that being Moomin Rider, which I would not be opposed to.
Kite Man versus Stilt Man.
There's that as well. That feels like the Not Death Battle one, and Death Battle can do Moomin Rider. I feel like I'm gonna move Kite Man up because it's actually like I've seen a lot of comics where Kite Man's actually kind of interesting and has that sort of like self-doubt. Am I like I want to do this, but like am I really built for this sort of deal as Moomin Rider? I like Kite Man enough, but he's not going anywhere near the top. Oh, Man-Bat. So I think. Oh wait, no. Your matchup you like for the Wizard was Killer Croc, so we can just put Man-Bat at the bottom, I think.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Mxyzptlk. It's gonna go at the top for me personally, because I think,
yeah, I'm not opposed to.
I think of the cosmic characters,
seeing
he's
him.
probably the most fun in the way he uses his powers.
I really like his design in My Adventures with Superman.
I think it's funny how often he can look completely out of place anywhere he is, and it's just like, yeah, no, that's fine. Who cares? Why not? Nubia. Who fucking cares? Like, why?
Well, yeah.
Why is Nubia on here?
I'm convinced Nubia is not real.
Well, no, she's not. She's a DC character.
Because she was in multiverses.
Yeah. I think like I guess she does have like historical relevancy, being the first black female superhero of DC. But beyond that, I don't care about Nubia like as a character. She's never been all that interesting to me. Beyond, like, compared to a character with, I don't know if Storm has the same going on if she was the first black superheroine of Marvel, but if she was, I still have things I actually like about Storm as a character. Nubia, I've just not experienced anything that makes her all that interesting to me. She might be cool. Like, she very well could be cool. But I just do not care, really.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely fair. I don't have any strong opinion on Nubia. I was surprised when they added it to multiverses because I was pretty sure that like this wasn't a very mainstream or known character at
It
all.
might have been during, like, the push Nubia got to be more mainstream. I just realized that, because I just realized Wasp I don't think was on this list. Like, Wasp Marvel.
Oh well, she was.
We got fucking Luna Snow and Sister Grimm, but no Iceman and no Wasp? Come on, man. What is this? I'm gonna put Nubia in Who Dis. I think this is a case where my lack of knowledge goes to such an extent that I don't feel like I can really say much more. I do not like her, but I don't dislike her either. Just everything I've seen with her, she is just kind of there. Orion.
I don't fucking care about Orion. I think his design's a little stupid.
I think, okay, I like him because of the stupid design, but that's about it. I think the space thing he flies on and the dumb helmet are really charming, especially because he takes them completely seriously. To be honest, the helmet has like Thor energy, where it looks really dumb, but he takes it so seriously. I guess Orion in general kind of has some Thor energy, but for me, Orion at the bottom. I really don't need to see him. Oh wait, speaking of funny
not
helmets,
really.
Peacemaker.
I really like John Cena's Peacemaker. A vast majority of his content is not going to be from that version.
Yeah, that's the issue for me. Is I like a Peacemaker. I don't like the Peacemaker. You know?
Yeah.
My chair is really squeaky and doesn't want to. Okay. I won't put him at the bottom because there is that small chance they would just focus on Cena. At least the fight would probably mostly try to capture that Peacemaker, but overall, nah, I don't need to see him. It's a case of like Peacemaker versus Soldier Boy, right? If it was specifically just the live action versions, maybe even as a live action episode, I would probably give that a thumbs up. I would probably say, that's neat. I'm all for that. But because it probably wouldn't be, especially now that I think we're past the peak of popularity for either character. I think the chance for the shot was missed. The chance for the shot was missed. And I don't think a Sprite episode where it's going to be focusing on the comic character, the comic character of Peacemaker, you can't do that for Soldier Boy at all.
Peacemaker did recently get announced that I think its newest season will come out in August.
Well, who knows? Maybe the chance will happen. Maybe that's the Ismahawks episode.
I also looked into
I don't
it.
think so.
Storm is one of the earliest black heroines in Marvel, but Misty Knight predates her by just a couple months.
We found Misty Knight, a little known Marvel heroine.
Yep.
I think the fact that it's Misty Knight and that I've learnt this during a death battle video is perfect. I think it's perfect. I think that's fantastic.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah. That's great. No, I'm happy now. Nubia, I give you a thumbs up for giving me that info, in a sense. Alright, Plastic Man. Fuck,
Plastic
I was
Man.
supposed to put all the characters next to their Marvel matchup. Plastic Man's one of those guys. Where is Mr. Fantastic? There he is. Alright, moving on. Poison Ivy.
Well, the whole bit with this one was you said you were going to put him exactly one tier above Reed.
Oh yeah, no, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I'm gonna put him one tier above because Plastic Man's goated. He was in the stretch royale. Like, how could you not be goated if you're in the stretch royale? See, Don agrees. Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy, alright.
What matchups do she have?
That's a good
I would like
question,
to see Ivy,
Mega
I
Man.
do like Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look up Poison Ivy Death Battle and hopefully not just get like Biolante. Now that's interesting. There is Violante here. There is Devora here, because that's what we need. But there is Delson Rowe from Infamous. And I'm curious what that's all about.
Maybe it ties into her origin story?
That's what I'm wondering. Which of these bioterrorist saviors of their planet will surpass the other? Is that it? They are eco-terrorists?
Probably.
Uh-huh. Okay. And there's Veridi from...
I gotta say, none of these make me, like, need to see her.
There is, what's something face from something. Yeah, that was the least helpful thing I could have said.
Yeah, I did very descriptive.
There's
Definitely
Kurama
know what the hell you're talking
from
about.
Yu Yu Hakusho. There's P.T. Piranha. There's Groot.
Poison Ivy versus Hashirama Senju. That's the not death battle.
What
Fuck
about
you.
Poison Ivy versus Poison from Street Fighter and Ivy from Soul Calibur?
Poison Ivy versus Palmon, whose signature attack is Poison Ivy.
I don't know who this character is, but I like her red hair. Rockwell from Ark. Zing Zing Zingba from League of Legends, which I'm just gonna shoot down off the cuff. Crazy Dave? Okay, hold on.
It's Crazy Dave, but you could just call me Crazy, killing the beat.
Now, hold on. Crazy Dave. Okay, let me think about this for a second. Because that sounds really funny. But Ivy would just turn all of his plans against him.
Well, that's if one of them doesn't just shoot a universe at her and fucking nuke her frame one.
She'll just block with her Herald level plants.
What if she's not fast enough to block the plasma beam?
That would be really... honestly, the more I think about it... Oh, fuck, am I going to turn into a Poison Ivy versus Crazy Dave supporter? Is that my future?
It's very not death battle coded.
It's very not death battle coded. I'm gonna just put her there and not think about it much. Alright, the question. We have the question on this tier list, but we don't have the answer. Adam, get your head in the game,
Nope.
mate. But the question, like, unironically, is probably not very high up for me.
Probably not.
I'll put him in not death battle tier, actually, because the question versus the answer is... we would do that. Alright, the Riddler.
Red Tornado, put him next to Vision.
He's already there.
The Riddler, what's the Riddler's matchup? Arcade?
Yeah, or Jigsaw. So, I'm gonna put him straight at
I don't care much about either.
I like John Kramer. I think he's interesting. But,
The most exposure I have to Arcade is, when I read Phil Urich's Green Goblin comic run.
Okay, do you have anything else to say about it?
I mean, he seemed fun. He pit Green Goblin against a character named Joystick, I think, who's part of the Sinister 60.
Wait. So this matchup is... So Riddler is either fighting an 80-year-old man with stage 4 cancer, or himself, but less cool. And he's already the Riddler, so less cool is the operative, like, impact font set of words there.
Yeah.
Alright, Sinestro. I don't need to... I don't care to see Sinestro.
I
I
don't.
don't fucking need his ass.
I don't think most of his matchups really do anything for me. I know he's got one from I think Lord of the Rings. I think he has Yuki Terumi, but like
Yes,
I
he's got
don't
Terumi,
care. I
he's
do
got
not care.
Melkor, he's got the Fallen and Megatron.
Megatron.
He's got Nightmare from Marvel. But no, none of those, thank you. Alright, the Spectre.
Nightmare for Marvel should fight Dream from DC, Sandman.
That's amusing. I'm pretty sure Sandman just exists more than him, though. Alright, the Spectre.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, Spectre for
The
me.
Spectre's cool.
I love Spectre. He's gonna go in. I would like to see him, but no matchup because he is on.
Okay, no, but hold on. Hear me out. Spectre versus Kamen Rider Decade. Reasonably, they're like the strongest guy ever, but they job to literally fucking anyone just for a
The
spectacle.
difference is that Spectre has an excuse in that his power fluctuates a lot. Decade does not.
Well, you don't know.
with
You haven't
Spectre-
seen Decade yet.
That's true. The thing I'll save it for after I do. The thing with Spectre I like is on the same end of the scale as Mixie, but instead of because Mixie uses his powers so creatively, Spectre's just raw. Like he's just fucking awesome. Like I've mentioned it before, I believe. Feats like when he walked on Earth so hard that it caused earthquakes in hell. Like, hell is nowhere near Earth. How did he do that? I don't know. Or when some guy dodged his punch, so he just had his arm, like his fist deconnect from the rest of his arm, and go so hard and fast that it wrapped around the ending of time and punched his opponent in the back of the head on the way back. Like,
Coming Vital. Decade!
he's so silly. He's so over the top stupid. The fact that one of the instances of Superman breaking past infinity in speed ends with Spectre appears in front of Superman, stops him dead in his tracks, and disappears before Superman can even realize what's happened. So Spectre just moves so fast that someone who is fast, who just broke the speed of infinity, couldn't even see him and react to him in time. How? Because he's the Spectre.
Cougar.
You're ignoring him. Okay. Starfire.
Starfire is neat.
I'm willing to put her in indifferent because I think it'd be really funny to get Starfire versus Firestar.
Uh-huh.
I think that'd be really
I
amusing.
could see it.
We're past DC.
My friend was showing me he logs all the comic books that he gets into an app, and it records the most collected characters he has. I believe his top 3 were Doctor Strange, Darkhawk, because he's gone out of his way to collect like all the Darkhawk comics. And of all characters, Firestar is number 3.
Yo, let's go.
Which is so odd. Because I guess that means she's just in more than we thought she was. He does have almost all of the New Warriors comics from the 90s, and I think she was part of that too.
You have something against Firestar, bro?
I don't have anything against her. It's just like of all characters, that's one that like I don't think either of us know much about, let alone that she's the third most collected character he has.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. All right, we can move on
Odd.
to Mario now, with Maroi, with the Goomba versus Koopa. We start with Antasma.
I don't fucking care about Phantasma.
No, I really don't give a shit, to be honest. Birdo. Who did I suggest for this one? Who did I suggest for Mario? Like, I gotta always go, like, look, like, who did I check? Who did I tell Adam to plop in? Where
Do
is
you
he?
remember the sentiment we had for Poison during the Street Fighter segment?
Yeah,
That, but for Birdo.
fair enough. Bowser Jr.
Of just, I don't. I'm sure you could do something with Junior, but like he's basically already been on Death Battle with Bowser.
Yeah. Don't you want to see more of him?
He's done the most interesting thing he does.
Don't you want to see him do it again?
No.
Well, that feels kind of discriminatory. Oh wait.
Yes.
Who else would I have put in? Of course it's that one. Okay. I guess Junior for me. I'll put him above the bottom. Oh no, I won't because he yeah, he was in Bowser Eggman. Let's not bullshit that. Cranky Kong. Bro, what are you doing here?
I don't. What does he even do? I know he's playable in Donkey Kong Country
Well,
Returns,
he is
but like
Donkey
what?
Kong, the one who throws barrels and
Yeah.
gets put in cages. That's not the most like glowing review of
So,
him.
yeah.
I'm gonna
So
put him at
like,
the bottom, to be honest, because the appeal to me would be the same. Just bring back actual Donkey Kong. Do Donkey Kong versus Godzilla-kun, because it's funny.
what?
Donkey Kong
Oh
versus
no.
Godzilla
Okay, I
from
get it.
Godziban, because
I understand.
he's Godzilla's grandson. And he has
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
name. It'd be funny. All right, Daisy.
She sure is.
Hi, she's Daisy. I like Daisy. I
I don't.
wouldn't be a. Well, shut up. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing her. Oh fuck, she's got to go on not Death Battle tier because of Daisy versus Soul Bad Guy, huh? All right. Oh. Okay. Her matchup is Blaze, and that's not good. There's Alex Minecraft,
No.
which is they are the tomboy version of the main character, or not of the main character, but of a character. There's Nora Ruby, because they're both very soul coded, and they're very loud and annoying, and strong.
Yep.
That's probably my favorite for Daisy.
Eh.
Then
Is
there's
Daisy that strong? She's as strong as anyone else
yeah,
in
she's strong.
Mario.
She's stronger than literally
Because
all of
like
Ruby combined.
with Nora, the whole bit is like physical strength of the main cast as they are right now. She's probably stronger than the rest of them.
I'm not sure on that.
Because I think she'd be physically stronger than anybody in Team Ruby or Juniper, at least.
No, she's very much equal with Yang.
Is she?
Yeah, they have an arm wrestle, and neither of them like have an advantage there during it.
Oh yeah.
Yang cheats. Diddy Kong. Can I? Is there going to be any Mario character I can put higher than near the bottom? Because I don't give a fuck about Diddy.
Diddy Kong and Dementia both I do not need to see. I don't care.
I'm going to put Diddy at the bottom, because while I like Diddy Kong enough, I just don't think I need to see him on Death Battle. I'm going to put Dementio one higher, because I think he offers more. Both, like, the appeal of, like, where he's from, and also his abilities are just more interesting. Farfel.
Sure is.
I like him, but he's probably I'm gonna put him in the same tier as Dementio, where I'm not... I am opposed, I guess. I don't really want to see him, but I'm not super again. Like, I could see the appeal. Funky Kong.
Funky Kong doesn't fucking do anything.
gonna
You
go in not
can
Death
play as
Battle
him, and
tier.
I think Tropical Freeze,
He's gonna
but
go in not
like,
Death Battle tier.
I don't, I
Let's
don't
be honest.
care.
He's way more not Death Battle coded. And also, new Funky Mode versus and Knuckles versus featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
True.
Gino, the guy people care about way more than is probably deserved.
Yeah. If anything, I like Gino versus Vivi Ornitier from Final Fantasy
Yeah, I
IX.
can see the appeal.
They're magic. They're artificial. They hang out with like the main
What
group
about
in like the
Gino
small duration in which they
versus Composite Pinocchio though?
are
Have you ever
around.
considered that?
Uh, fuck what? I think someone I know is working on a composite Pinocchio versus episode, but I don't remember.
I guess I'll put Gino a bit higher. I'm kind of indifferent, but I wouldn't be against it to be honest. Now, I'll move him up just because Vivi is a Final Fantasy character that's neither lightning nor from 7.
Yeah, and is also a black mage, and I fucking love the Final Fantasy black mages.
Yeah. Alright, Kamek. So, what did we just say about Bowser Jr.?
Yeah, he was already used. So was King Boo.
Yeah, I think King Boo I could see an argument for because the difference is he doesn't do much in the episode. I can see you could do something more because he does have more going on.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just gonna
King
fight
Boo's
the
most popular
matchups.
is just a Gengar,
Yeah,
and I don't fucking
that's the
care.
issue. King Boo versus a Gengar. If Boo wins, well, he just beat up like tantamount to a random animal, and if he loses, that's really sad. I'm gonna put him in sure but no matchup because I would not be opposed. You could do more of them. I know the Biff Weed would be very happy, but his matchup is some random creature from Pokemon, and while that is a really cool creature that on average does have more personality than the average pocket monster, I no. No, that's the end of that story. No.
Nah.
Alright, King K.
Yeah.
Rool. I do quite fancy King K. Rool versus King Pig.
I think it's pretty funny. I also like the idea of King K. Rool versus the dude from Monkey Island.
Oh, what's his name? The name is escaping me right now. He should not have escaped.
I love that his bit is that every time he shows up, he's just more dead.
You should be remembering his name right now.
Okay, let me do that real quick.
You're not remembering, you're Googling.
Nuh-uh.
Wait, what about King K. Rool? King K. Rool versus King Shark. Hold on. I just thought of that.
Excuse me.
Is that anything?
Sure. What the fuck is...
You're not even paying attention.
I'm remembering the pirate. LeChuck. That's his name.
There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna put K. Rool pretty high up. But not for the matchup everyone fucking supports, funnily enough.
Yeah, K. Rool versus King Pig or LeChuck is pretty funny.
I'm not gonna put him at the top just because I know that the guy that everyone wants to see him fight is not either of ours. So there is always going to be the hesitation of do I really want to see K. Rool on, because chances are he's going to fight someone else. Which I'm sure is going to be a sentiment that's contradicted many times during this tier list because humans are fickle creatures. Mallow. I think. I don't know how it's pronounced.
No. Mallow, yes.
Okay, Don, consider Mallow versus Cloud. It's not Cloud Man, Sheep Man.
If Mallow got on Death Battle, I would never fucking hear the end of it.
Alright, not Death Battle, it is. Alright, Mario Kun. I don't. No.
I wouldn't mind Mario Kun. He has a sword.
Okay. Yeah, he's going at the bottom. You had your chance to
What?
tell me, and you came up with just he's got a sword. Paper
He does have a
Mario.
sword. It's cool. He's fun.
Paper Mario.
Uh, I wouldn't mind Paper Mario. He's pretty cool. He's pretty unique.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put him in unsure but no matchup just because I think Death Battle could do something interesting with like the fact that he is 2D. They could do something interesting with that in the fight. I just don't know who I'd care to see him fight. Okay, Pauline. Nope.
Nope.
Petey Piranha.
Nah.
I was trying to think of like something to come to his defense, but no, I got nothing. Reznor, my goat, Reznor, love Reznor. Who can fight 4 trikes?
For what?
4 fire-breathing
What?
trikes. Triceratops.
Oh, okay.
Not like a tricycle. Though 3 tricycles, 4 tricycles.
Yeah, I was
4
thinking
triceratops.
tricycle. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Now I think if there was a character that was 4 tricycles, put them against Reznor. That's such a specific idea. I don't think that character exists. Reznor.
I really doubt it.
Reznor's not Death Battle coded. Who's he gonna fight? I don't know. I don't think he's got a lot of the not Death Battle ones today. Don't even have matchups I do, except like Boomerang, Hawkman, and King Shark maybe. Poison Ivy versus Crazy Dave, yeah. Question versus Answer, Daisy in general, Funky versus Dante versus Knuckles. Mallow. Okay, no, no, they do have matchups. Reznor and Daisy are just the odd ones out. Oh, Daisy has Soul. It's just Reznor's the odd one out. What am I talking about? Rosalina. Her matchup is
Nah.
for
Yeah, I
some
mean,
reason,
like,
Whis
she's
or Palutena.
got matchups. Yeah, she's got matchups plenty. I think her versus the King of All Cosmos is kind of funny.
I like Rosalina. I think it'd be interesting to have a Mario episode that actually has a degree of like story and character to discuss. By Mario standards, that is. By Mario standards.
Yeah.
But I don't really care for her matchups. Is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, because she's not giving us a lot to work with, so her matchups inherently aren't going to do the same. Like, it's just, I don't know, not that interesting.
Alright, done. Toad and Toadette.
A Toad could be fun. I'm not sure who he'd fight, but he's got plenty of stuff. Toadette, indifferent.
Toad. I got nothing for him, and I don't really care about him either. So, yeah. Is it a
Hold on,
character called Toad, or is it just a composite of every Toad?
I assume they present him as Toad. I guess it's the same as Yoshi, where it's like, yeah, he's portrayed as Yoshi. That's him. That is Yoshi, but like, kind of, sort of,
Okay,
just a
Toad
nebulous
matchups I see
approximation of the
are
species.
Slippy Toad, a Teletubby, a Chow, Waddle Dee, Hercule Satan,
Black Adam.
Salem from Ruby, Speedwagon, me, like a me from the
No, go down a little bit. Toad versus Black Adam.
I'm not seeing that. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. Suyu
Hold on, let me
Asui,
send
Reptile.
it.
Oh no, I see it. I see it now. Black Adam. Is Toad claims to be the best, but Black Adam punches the best. Peak.
True.
That's peak. That's not Toad versus Reptile. These aren't like Mario Toad. These are Marvel Toad versus Reptile and Asui. Squidward tentacles. An Inkling, just all the main Toads versus the Teletubbies as a whole. I think Detective Pikachu versus Captain Toad, Toad versus Cell, Toad versus Big the Cat.
Yeah, it sure is a whole lot of nothing.
Toad's staying near the bottom.
No, hold on. You know what? Toad versus Joel from The Last of Us.
Let's move on. Vivian, this is how you know Adam made this tier list.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I don't really need to see Vivian in Death Battle.
I don't either.
Alright. Waluigi. Alright. So, Don. Alright, so.
He is. I would like to see Waluigi. I like Waluigi versus Robbie Rotten. A fair deal.
And we're going to end with a bang. The legendary, the all-encompassing, the widely beloved Wart.
Nah, don't need him. But what I think... Well, actually, Wart versus Gabra.
Yeah, Wart versus...
Because Wart and Gabra are both from the subconscious. They're not real. They're both toad creatures.
Have you considered Gabra versus Nightmare FNAF, though?
Okay, but Wart.
Yeah, okay. We're moving on to Ninja Turtles now. But the Ninja
I think the weird
Turtle
part about Waluigi versus Robbie Rotten is some people are like, oh, but it would hurt to see my childhood character get beat up. I'm like, Mario is not like terribly serious. It wouldn't be anything gruesome, I don't imagine. Not any more gruesome than what would happen if Sportacus lost to Yujiro Hanma.
No, I think that would be a lot more gruesome and end, to be honest.
But like, I feel like that has far more of a total problem than Waluigi Robbie Rotten, but a lot of people take issue with one and not the other, which I think is
pretty much every
odd.
Baki fan I see takes issue with Yujiro versus Sportacus. Because like I think it's like, yes, he is a silly character to a degree, but there is a lot of very serious stuff going on, and Sportacus doesn't play into that very well.
Yeah.
So now we can move on to Ninja Turtles, starting with April O'Neil.
Don't care. The versions of her that have a significant amount to do in a fight are pretty drastically different.
Yeah, I don't think I need to see April at all. I like April, but no. Baxter Stockman.
I don't care.
Again, I think Baxter's just a no to me. Bebop.
Bebop and Rocksteady would have to be a package deal. I can't imagine caring about one without the other.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Rocksteady up with Bebop because I know Rocksteady.
Bebop and Rocksteady versus Bulk and Skull.
What?
Bebop and Rocksteady versus Bulk and Skull.
Yeah, no, you keep saying that, but I just see the amazing Bulk in my head.
Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers.
Yeah, but like the amazing Bulk.
No.
That's only the average Bulk. I'm gonna put them in a sure but no matchup because I just don't think there's a duo matchup that really does it for me with these two. But they could be. And I think solo, not only does Bebop have nothing unless you want to do fucking.
I don't know who Bishop is.
Bishop is cool as hell. I love Bishop. He was my suggestion. He's gonna proudly get put in sure but no matchup. Casey Jones. Okay. So, I'm gonna read Kamen Rider Spirits before I start advertising the matchup like everywhere, but it's gonna have to be Casey versus Taki Rider. It's gotta be.
Probably, yeah.
Let me just say, Casey's matchups mostly good. Kick-Ass is pretty cool. Though I feel like for Death Battle, they're probably not gonna live up to the Superpower Beatdown. It's gonna be a hard sell. But I see the episode being cool. But Taki, not only because I feel like a lot of people are gonna go, well, Taki Rider doesn't show up much, but Taki himself is fucking awesome. Like, he's going around fighting kaijin that normally only Riders fight, and he's just doing it mano a mano throughout most of the original show. In fact, Taki appears more in the original series than either Kamen Rider, because he's there for the entire Hayato run and for the majority of the Ichigo run. So he's just always there. He's got a lot of... He's really cool in the original manga. Taki is great. I love Taki. And I love Casey more. Casey's great. This is 87 Casey Jones shown here, who is not that cool, because he's kind of just a one-note psychopath. But Casey overall is really cool. And I kind of love the street smarts bumbling, like, brute versus the, like, professionally trained fucking killer from the Secret Service sort of deal that's going on there. That's just kind of funny to me. Because Taki's way more skilled. But Casey kind of makes a living off just brute forcing and tenacitying his way through far more skilled opponents. So it kind of just works out like that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really funny just to see Casey's reaction to this guy whipping out a piece on him. That shoots lasers, for that matter. Just a laser pistol that looks like a regular gun for some reason. I like the matchup a lot. But I'm also supportive of Kick-Ass, like, conceptually. So.
Sorrel.
Yes, Chirel. His matchup is specifically the Teen Titans cartoon version of Deathstroke. It's like Shredder versus Deathstroke, but there's specific versions who have a lot of aura. I really like Chirel. He's my favorite Shredder. But that's bias talking. Yeah, I'm gonna put him near the top because I like him a lot.
I'm a big fan of 2012 Shredder.
From what I've seen, I'm not a huge fan of like that show, but I do like the Shredder in it, from what I remember. All right, we have Janika. I don't know much about her.
I don't either.
I know that she's noted to be like she was a Foot Clan assassin who then turns to join the Turtles. That's like her bit to my memory. I like her. From what I remember, she is very cool. I need to look into her more. Yeah. That's going to be the thing for me. Janika is... I'm going to put her in... I guess for now... like, indifferent. Because I'm not against her at all, but I want to know more. But I think I know enough to not put her in. Who the hell is this? Karai. I really like Karai.
She's cool.
What matchups does Karai have? Let me fucking check this. Please be good. And no, I'm not the guy who suggested to put Venus de Milo on here. I know who that is. Okay, well, who's top of this tier list? I don't know you. You're not. I don't know you. I don't care about Sabine. I don't care about Katana. I don't know you. I don't care about Elektra, but I kinda get it. I don't know you. Okay. Well, Karai, you're gonna go in Shaw, but no matchup. I feel like that's very concretely where I've landed here. Alright, Krang. I don't know.
Krang is funny.
Yeah, but like... I don't think I need to see Krang, to be honest.
You don't want to see Krang versus MODOK?
Now, MODOK is at the bottom, I should note. I'll put Krang above MODOK. I don't really want to see it, but if it happened, okay. But I'm really in it for Krang. The Last Ronin. Well, You've got the
Yeah.
last Ronin here,
Yeah.
but no Old Man Logan, or did
No Logan.
what was Old Man Logan? Hold on, Old Man Logan might have been here. Let me check around the higher tiers because that's where he would have ended up. I don't see no Old Man Logan. What the fuck? Yeah, there's no Old Man Logan. Well, Ronan's gonna go at the top because I do think that's a really cool matchup. And it gets around like my big issue with Ninja Turtle matchups, because it's not going to be some soft composite that doesn't really capture any one particular character I like. It is very specifically just one version. So I like that a lot.
Uh-huh.
Ninja Turtles is doing really well right now. Leatherhead. I believe I said he's going to go wherever Lizard ended up. Or Killer
I
Croc.
believe that's
Killer
what you
Croc.
said.
Because we both have a matchup we like for Lizard, but it's a different one, so he's going to go higher than either of the matchups we have. Slash. So the one thing, I don't know if I care enough about Slash.
I'm only familiar with the 2012 version where he's Raphael's pet turtle that mutated.
For another thing, what matchups does Slash even have? Like, I better
I
look
don't
up
know.
Slash Death Battle and find a bunch of Slash fics. Okay, no. Sabretooth. I get it. I really do. Jin Men. Kane Parker.
That's a Devilman. That's a Devilman thing.
The Spinner.
Spinner from My Hero.
Yeah, Venom. Fucking Ragnar the Blood Edge versus some guy's OC. Named Slash.
Cool.
Blastoise.
They sure are turtles.
Riptor. The Batman who loves. So I think I think Slash I'm gonna put in I don't know how I feel about almost any of those matchups, I'm gonna be honest. I kinda get Sabretooth, and I kinda think Spinner's kinda funny. I'm gonna put Slash in like indifferent, because I think those are neat, but not selling me. Master Splinter. I've got to put him at the top. He's my goat. I feel like you can kind of tell my love for Ninja Turtles. Gotta get into this.
Yeah.
Splinter's great. Splinter versus Shifu. Do it. And Venus de Milo. I think it'd be funny.
I only know her from the Power Rangers in Space crossover.
My biggest issue with Venus is there's this like scene where Leo's like, oh no, we're not blood related, just so they could have like him fawning over her, and that makes me really uncomfortable. So we're gonna move on to Battletoads. I'm sure we got so much to talk about between the two of us.
I would put every Battletoads character, and I do not need to see them.
Okay, so the Dark Queen, I don't know you. You're gonna go in Who the Hell Are You, pretty much. I know she's the villain, but that's it. General Slaughter, my goat. Who the hell are you? That was my suggestion, because it was a name I recognized. Pimple. No.
Are you sure you weren't just confusing him for Sergeant Slaughter?
I was not. And Rash. Rash is the only one I could see any sort of argument, as in like, yeah, he could have him. I would argue just bring Zitz back if you're gonna do Battletoads, or do like a team battle. But if you had to bring a different Battletoad in, it would be Rash. To which I'll put him one step above Pimple, because I think he's cooler. But I'd say bring Zitz back, or just do the three of them together. That makes the most sense to me.
Now we're Now we're back in a series I can comment on.
Yes, we're in Yoshi vs. Riptor with Killer Instinct, starting with the big rock golem.
Aganos is cool. His lore is neat, but he's not like much of a character. I remember reading a fan-written death battle at some point in the past. I think it was Aganos versus Gulurk.
No, I get it. I
But
get that. I know that you love
Aganos definitely isn't like of every KI character. It does not need to be Aganos.
I know you love matchups with random Pokemon, so you're gonna be really happy when we get to that segment, and there's not as many legendaries as there are regulars. We'll see. Aria.
Yeah. Aria's cool. I wouldn't mind seeing her against someone if there's like a cool fighting game AI type character. I think there was one in Dead or Alive.
My mind went to I always forget her name.
From what?
I always forget the series too. I think it was Dural.
Can you describe the series at all or the character?
I think it's Virtua Fighter. I don't know much about her, but like that's always been like my immediate like association with Aria when I look at her is this character's name I keep forgetting because I'm just built like that. For worse or worse, but I think I've seen Seth as an opponent for Aria as well.
I can see the through line.
I think Aria seems neat, but I imagine not like a go-to, like maybe no matchup because I've not seen one. Cinder.
He's a classic, but he's a little mid. I can't lie.
So top tier, all right. Okay, Idol.
Idol's about as relevant as like Motaro is.
Yeah, no, Idols are not Death Battle character. Whether it's Motaro or one of the Shokan, we'll see. Gargos. So Gargos' matchup is Onaga. His other matchup.
Gargos is pretty sick. I do like Gargos.
His other matchup is Firebrand, I believe.
Yeah. They fighting game Gargoyle.
Yeah, because Firebrand originated from a fighting game and all that.
Yeah, he's only been in SVC Chaos, MVC 3, and MVC Infinite. Those are the only games he's in.
Yeah. So Gargos, where do you put him? Because I don't have any strong feeling.
I would put Gargos in I'm down for it.
Alright, the Ring Girl.
Hisako is probably the most popular new character from the Killer Instinct reboot.
What?
She's pretty cool. Incorporating Shin Hisako would be kind of neat. Maybe you could have her against like the Onryo from Dead by Daylight. Maybe that could be neat.
That's not a very convincing suggestion.
I remember reading a script for her versus Shinko back in the day. I thought it was okay.
I guess I'll put her in like the.
It would be neat, I guess.
All right, that's next to Supercast, all right.
Say his name.
Antagonist of Killer Instinct. So
Say his
name. What are your
name.
thoughts on him versus Liu Kang now?
Say his name.
All right, we're moving on to Kilgore.
Okay, Kilgore versus Cyrax.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I can't put him in Not Death Battle moment because we got Cyrax versus Savage, who and was very receptive to the idea, but he also resents the fact.
All right, fine. Kilgore versus Cyber Smoke.
No, you can't just switch that. Kilgore is Not Death Battle.
Kilgore versus Triborg.
I'll put him in Not Death Battle moment because he is very Not Death Battle coded. Right, Kim Woo.
She's got a dragon. She could fight Kitty Pryde.
So I'm gonna put her near the bottom.
Lockheed's pretty fucking big these days, isn't
Huh?
he? Isn't Lockheed like proper dragon size these days?
Uh, you tell me.
You're the X-Man. You should know.
I guess you got a matchup for us. I'll move her up. I don't know who
Uh,
this is.
Sadira, she's a spider lady. I don't care enough
Oh
to see
yes, I
her.
know her. You don't care? All right, right near the bottom with Cinder. Spinal.
I'm not the biggest Spinal versus Cervantes fan, but if you are, you can put it wherever you want.
So I've said before, my issue is it is, and like I've had people tell me, no, there's so much you could talk about with Spinal, and they give me a paragraph, and they say that's his whole bit, one paragraph, and I just feel, for a several minute long analysis, you want more than a paragraph. Now, I am, one would say, an expert at padding out an analysis so that it feels full length when there's really not a lot to talk about. I don't know what I would do for Spinal. And this wouldn't be as big a deal if it weren't for the fact that Cervantes is the main antagonist of the first game. He is the Shang Tsung of Soul Calibur. He is the Sagat. He is the,
Yeah.
I guess, idol of Soul Calibur, not the Spinal. And that's wherein I have my issue, is just you're gonna probably have a bit of an imbalance in terms of what you get to talk about. But I think it's still neat. I'd still rank it in would be neat. But I have that
Yeah.
issue in just the sheer difference in what they have to talk about. And we end Killer Instinct with Tusk, because I guess Thunder's just not cool enough.
Tusk sure is there. He has his meteor feet for the good scaling.
It's like multi CD block level Don. It's not. It's Thunder's the guy with
Yeah.
the feet. That's a good scaling.
That's stronger than you are.
You can't prove that.
Fair enough. Tusk is I don't fucking care.
Okay. And now we move on to Darkstalkers with Felicia versus Taukaka, which means right after is also BlazBlue. And I feel you probably got something to say about Darkstalkers, starting with Anakaris.
Yes, I do.
The Egyptian guy.
I quite like
Who's
Darkstalkers.
blue?
Anakaris has I guess Conra from Killer Instinct, but I don't
Alright,
fuck
so
it.
he's
That's
going
just
near the
fighting
bottom.
game mummy. Yeah.
BB Hood. She has the Skullgirl.
BB Hood versus Peacock is
I
fun.
think. I like BB Hood. I like the sort of like dichotomy of all these monsters. The biggest monster of them all is Red Riding Hood. If you ignore Pyron over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jetta.
She's cool. She's
Jetta's
fun.
probably worse as well. I think BB Hood Peacock's neat. I don't think I'd put too high because I don't care about the characters that much, but it seems cool. You.
Me? Did we talk about Dimitri already?
Yeah, he was in the other one. He was in the DBX tier list.
That's right, yes. Donovan's pretty cool. I like his summons. I like his sword. I think he could be pretty cool. You could incorporate his full vampire form into it. I think he's cool, but I don't have a matchup I super duper jive with
Of
for
all
him.
the characters here, he's the one that I forgot existed from Darkstalkers.
He's pretty cute.
There's no what are they called? Whitzel.
Yeah, Weitzel or
So we
Phobos.
We can't put
in
him
Japan.
against Jack. Just a Jack from Tekken. That sounds funny. All right, this feels like a character you know better.
What, Shinko?
Yeah.
She's neat. I don't think any of her opponents are Jiangxi like she is, but there's Min Min, I guess, who has like the many arms thing going. Well,
Many arms?
Shinko doesn't have a bunch of arms. Like, okay, so the whole
Stretching
bit is
arms.
Shinko inside of her sleeves has a bunch of different weapons and shit she can pop out. Think like how Taokaka's
Yeah, I was
claws
thinking
can
this.
change into
Don't you
like
think of
chainsaws and shit.
Talkaka? Was that the matchup secretly
Yeah,
the whole time?
that you could go that route. You could go Min Min. You could go whatever you feel like going. Shinko's pretty cool. I
I'm
like
trying to think. I
her.
feel like I'm. Oh, okay. I was gonna say. I think I remember a character with like big sleeves and a ton of weapons. I was like, who am I thinking of? It's a Ninja Turtles character.
Ah,
Uh and I don't think he fits. His name is. He's one of the Ninja Tribunal. Uh, who are like ninja gods, I guess you could call them. Humans who became ninja gods. Uh, and he is the blue one.
sleeve.
Something. They're all something Shisho. I believe Kon Shisho was the spirit master, and Hisomi was the stealth master. The female one, the strength one, is Chikara, and so I'm left forgetting what the one that's relevant to this is. The other one, the fourth one. Oh, I can imagine Ribbit screaming.
Jetadoma.
I can imagine Ribbit screaming the name to me. Is it Judo? It might be Judo. Whatever. Where do you put her first?
I would put her in Would Be Neat. I like Shinko. She's very popular.
Okay, what matchup though?
Um, I guess Min Min. I'm not that
Okay,
picky about it.
Jetadoma.
Jetadoma is pretty
He's a
fucking
big
cool.
stinky dog.
What is his matchup? I guess there is Dormammu,
There's
but Dormammu would
Dormammu.
fucking grill him alive.
Oh god, there was another one, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I'm gonna look it up. 'Cause
Devilman.
no, I mean that probably is one. Slayer? Why? Blackheart, Void Dark, Shao Kahn, Shinnok, Mundus, some guy. Oh, I thought that was him versus Devilman. No, that's Devilman versus someone else.
That's pretty funny.
Dormammu, of course. Some guy, Gil. Uh, it seems this other matchup is Blackheart, a different Marvel
I
character.
do really like Blackheart,
I
so
love
I
him
wouldn't be
in
mad
I
about it.
love
I
him in
think
the
that could
live
be
action
cool.
movie where he's just some guy, and he just jump scares the middle nothing in the middle of the desert for the fun of it, I guess.
Because I think Blackheart's angst is pretty fun. How like he technically never asked to be alive, and he's a little pissed at Mephisto for bringing him to life, but he's also very ambitious about like taking him down. And like these days, he's just fucking hanging out with whatever Avengers team he's on in human form.
So where would you put Jeddah?
I'd put Jeddah in Would Be Neat. I think that would be cool.
Lilith.
Her big one's Dark Pit.
I don't know why that made me laugh. Maybe I just don't put a lot of
I don't.
onus. I don't put a lot of credit on Pitu. Maybe that might be the issue.
I don't care that much about Lilith, being completely honest.
Okay. Lord Raptor. I love this guy. What's his matchup look like? Is it just Brook?
There's Brooke from One Piece. There's excuse me. I feel like there's another one I'm trying to think of that I can't. I feel like the Iron Maiden inspiration is pretty on the nose,
And he's Australian.
and he's Australian.
And he's the
What the
whole
fuck
heavy
am I
metal
trying to
thing.
think of?
It looks great. He seems great. He is. Oh, the fucking Skylander guy. Wolfgang, I think. That's really,
Yeah, I guess
that's
that's
really
there.
funny. Eno, I guess.
The guitar.
Hey, I mean that's it. I was gonna say it's more than Brooke, but no, it technically isn't. Waluigi, what are you doing here, bro?
I
Marceline.
think Lord Raptor versus Brooke is fine because Brooke is the complete opposite end of the spectrum of musicians who died and gained posthumous ultimate power. Because Brooke is like super cheerful and nice and likes to play music for the masses, and Lord Raptor is Lord Raptor.
I'm gonna put it like near the top, just because I like this Lord Raptor guy a lot.
What the fuck is he called in Japan? Hold on. He is called
Better not just be Eddie. Oh wait, is that his real name?
Zabel. That's what he's called.
Well, it doesn't sound as cool.
Zabel Zarok.
Okay, I like that when you say the full name.
Or sorry, Zabel. It looks like Zaberu Zaroku. So Zabel Zarok.
In other words, nothing that actually sounds Australian is his name.
Yeah.
But I guess Gary wouldn't be the most exciting name for a fighting game character. Alright. Morrigan. The main character.
Yeah, Morrigan would be cool. Given the right matchup.
Okay, so what is the right matchup?
I don't know. I don't know what the right Morgan matchup is because I've never seen one that particularly interests me. So would be cool. Don't have a matchup
The thing
though.
is, I've seen Arcoid from Melty Blood, but I have a matchup I like more for her.
That's probably like the one that makes the most sense. That said, I don't necessarily want to see Morrigan get fucking Nasuverse cosmologied into oblivion.
I like Arcoid versus Kiss Shot from Monogatari, because I feel like Kiss Shot has this issue where her scale, right, is that one time she jumped really hard and like destroyed Antarctica by jumping too hard. So finding vampires that actually live up to that kind of scale is not easy, if you know what I mean.
Arcway can just eclipse the planet in
She
one of her
throws
in
the
her like
moon,
stronger form.
like as one of her things.
Yeah.
And Kiss Shot, I think, implies she could freely destroy the planet if she really wanted to. I don't think she can destroy the sun, though. I think that's where her limit lies, if I remember. It's been a while. Pyron.
He's cool, but I don't really need to see him in a death battle.
QB.
Again, she's cool. I don't really need to see her in a death battle.
The guy who's pretty handsome for a fish guy.
Rikuo is pretty handsome. That's his whole bit. Rikuo versus the missing link, not death battle.
Fuck it. Yeah, okay. Sasquatch. Don't say Sasquatch versus Wendigo.
From what?
Marvel.
Oh. Then Sasquatch versus Sasquatch from Marvel.
Okay, I would probably do Wendigo more because I like him more. I think it's crazy that Wendigo looks nothing like a Wendigo. Like, not even the faintest resemblance.
Sasquatch isn't even like really that much of a Darkstalker. Like, I think technically he is, but like him and his tribe are kind of just apes. They go looking for bananas and they travel from Antarctica to like a proper tropical island where bananas are common.
Right, Victor. He seems very U-coded.
He is the grappler of the game, but he also grapples you by extending his ass cheeks and grabbing you with them.
Yes, that seems like the kind of thing that you would like.
Nah, not particularly.
Why is the BlazBlue so short? I'm just looking at it right now.
Victor's pretty whatever. I don't need to see him. I have things to say about BlazBlue.
I am genuinely upset that the list doesn't even reach the end of a single row. There's so much BlazBlue. Only 2 options have been taken, and Adam's here dropping just this.
Arakune.
Arakune, I'm putting him near the top. I love Arakune versus Merkava.
I think it's pretty cool.
I love that you could debate. You could arguably, Under Night Immortality I think is way overplayed, but of the characters it could apply to, Merkava is one of the ones I think you could genuinely make the argument, which kind of just makes this who can kill the other better. Not like you can kind of ignore the fact that Arakune probably has a huge AP advantage and Merkava probably has a speed advantage. It's just who can kill the other better. It is kind of the Vor episode, which I'm not as excited for, because it is just who can eat the other better.
Certainly.
It's a matter of Arakune's whole body is essentially a mouth, while Merkava has a dedicated mouth, and that's why Arakune, in my opinion, wins. Because he just needs.
Merkava tries to eat Arakune and just gets a mouthful of bugs.
Yeah. Which he then erases from existence, because that's how his eating works, I think. If I remember correctly. Azrael. I mean, again, we're going straight to the top here. BlazBlue, very strong out the gate. Because Kenpachi's already at the
Azrael
top.
versus Kenpachi is super cool.
Fucking awesome. I just adore the fact that it's such a case of there's all these powers in the series, and these guys just hit really fucking hard. And
no, yeah, that's the thing is
really
that, like, with
unfair.
Kenpachi, you would think when he finally unlocks Shikai and Bankai, okay, maybe he's got a cool power now. It's just a bigger sword. That is all it is.
I love it. Does he have a meteor?
Not even a bigger sword. It's just a huge fucking meat cleaver.
I'm trying to remember. Does he have a meteor feat?
He does. Yes, he fights a
Right.
dude named Grammy who can make anything happen by imagining it. And it has one of my favorite feats where he tries to imagine himself just being stronger than Kenpachi so he can win, and his body explodes because his brain cannot fathom that.
It's awesome. I remember you brought that up to me. Obviously, the climax, Azrael does his fucking finisher, and Kenpachi, tries to just cut through the giant mound of everything that Azrael just threw at him. Like, that writes itself. It's... Oh, yeah. God. Azrael's so fucking cool.
Kenpachi's Bankai is also one of the few that, like, directly alters the user themselves. He becomes like a fucking demon.
Awesome. It has the vibe. I like it. And Azrael's awesome. I really like him. I love that his whole...
Kenpachi's demon form is still my phone lock screen.
I just love that Azrael's entire existence is, fuck, we need to have more gameplay in the story mode. How do we do that? Let's make a character who would fight anyone, so he can just show up randomly to engage the player. That's so good. It's fucking excellent.
It makes me think of how in BB Tag, I think one of the earliest fights is Azrael versus Weiss. How the fuck else is that gonna go?
What a fucking matchup!
Professional fight loser versus the scariest man ever made.
This is the guy whose entire bit is, nah, I'd win, and then he actually does. Oh my god.
But while we're on the topic of Sector 7 and related characters, Bullet.
I like Bullet, but I can't think of a matchup I like for Bullet.
I think Bullet's kind of fucking mid, I can't lie.
I like Bullet, but
her big matchup that I saw was Captain Commando, but like...
Okay, yeah, she's going near the bottom. I don't like that.
First death battle to get no views.
Wait, where did I put her? Oh. I actually put her in Don Hates You, which feels prophetic but does not fit. Hazama! My guy!
I like Hazama well enough. He's pretty cool.
There's no Bang in this list. Hold on. Where was Bang?
Bang Shishigami.
Where's my guy Bang Shishigami? What the fuck? I know why Hawkman wasn't here, because I already moved him up. To where he was last time. I'll note, there's also no Hibiki, but I can accept that one. There's no Carl. Where's Carl? Where's Hades? Anyway, yeah, Hazuma. Where would you put him?
Would be neat, I guess.
I thought you had a matchup for him. Or was that for Yuki? No, that was for Yuki. That was for Terumi.
Yeah, that's Terumi. I mean, I guess Hazuma versus Happy Chaos exists. Hazuma versus Gin from Bleach exists, but I'm not that heavily invested in either because I'm not that heavily invested in Hazuma.
Iron Taiga. Okay. So.
That's my main in BlazBlue for anyone in the audience wondering.
For anyone in the audience wondering, he likes grapplers.
I really like grapplers.
We're gonna get to Guilty Gear, and I wonder.
Although, funny enough, I played Grand Blue for the first time earlier, just before we started this recording, and I didn't play the grappler.
Huh. You must really not be feeling well.
No, I'll try La Diva at some point, but I was trying Charlotta and Sores, I think he's called.
I know one of those characters because she was in Relink.
Sores is a like weaponsmith / arms dealer that just punches people. Tager's pretty fucking cool. Him versus Potemkin's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take it pretty up. I think there are other BlazBlue vs Guilty Gears I like more, but it is pretty fucking cool.
Jin Kisaragi.
Jin, maybe one of the most underappreciated BlazBlue characters, I would argue.
I could agree to an extent. I think Jin versus Rukia is pretty cool.
Pun. Yeah, it's cool, I guess. Jin versus Kai.
Jin versus Kai is okay.
I see a lot of people do Virgil versus Hakumen, but I'm gonna be honest, just do Virgil versus regular Jin.
Yeah,
that works for me. Though
I think Jin has plenty of decent options.
Yeah, I put him in would be neat. I don't think I'm not necessarily down for it because none of his matchups really excite me, but I like him and I think he's got a cool enough spread. Jubei. What the fuck does Jubei got?
He's neat. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is like Jubei's cool. Who would he fight?
Yeah, I guess sure, but no matchup. I would like to see him just because he's so weird, just like conceptually. But I like it. Lychee failing. Again, what matchup?
This is another one of my mains in BlazBlue.
What matchups doth she have?
Good question. What's another character that's trying to unmonster their significant other?
I feel like there's actually a lot of answers to that are all escaping me right now.
You know, Lychee versus Axel, maybe? He's not necessarily trying to, but his girlfriend did become a fucking time-despondent witch.
Yeah, I'm gonna put her in short, but no matchup. Alright. Makoto. So her matchup...
Makoto Nanaya.
...is, Leone, blah, blah, her name, exacts of her name escaped me from a Kamega Kill.
Leone.
Whatever. Her name escapes me right now, as I said.
The animal they punch.
It's also the whole, like they have a similar sort of origin going on.
Leone when Makoto punches her through the fucking moon.
Yeah. I like the match.
I like Makoto.
I like Makoto.
I'm nostalgic for Akamega Kill.
I think Leone's one of the... Leone doesn't sound right. I think Leone is one of the more, like, one of the better characters, you know? We'll get there when we get there. In 5 months.
She's not my favorite. My favorites were Wave and Lubbock.
My favorites were Wave and Lubbock. Yeah, actually, those are my favorites too. So.
I liked Bulot while he was around, but that wasn't very long.
Bulot's pretty great, but he's not around for much. Bowles is alright.
Yeah, Bowles is cool. I like Bowles. Tatsumi himself isn't the worst. Like, I think he's okay. I think to this day, Akame ga Kill, not the greatest story, not like, well, the anime. I can't speak to the manga, I haven't read it. But Incursio is so fucking cool. That is one of the coolest armors I've ever seen.
But more importantly, New 13. I've smacked the mic. All New 13 fans, all 12 of them coming up right now to support her appearance in Death Battle.
Shout out to the people who are at this point in the video now where we're not having technical difficulties anymore. If you sat through it and got to this point, thank you for sticking with us.
You're our goats. By the way, Noel's already moved up from a previous video. No 9 the Phantom in this
New 13.
We got New
if
13.
New 13 has a cool matchup, I wouldn't mind it.
We got New 13, but no 9 the Phantom or Platinum the Trinity.
There's trilogy.
There's no Relius in this either.
No Relius Clover.
No Tsubaki. No Valkenhayn.
Tsubaki Izayoi. Valkenhayn or Hellsing.
Yeah, New 13 for me is like I don't need to see it, I'm gonna be honest, because I think with Noel you can kind of get the same dynamic as a combatant, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
So you don't need a Mirakuma unit solo match. Rachel Alucard.
Fair.
I really like Rachel.
I like Rachel versus Slayer a lot.
Yep. I'm glad we see eye to eye on that, because there aren't many people who do.
Because I think like, obviously there's the bit in a lot of like Saitama crossover things where Geno shows up, tries to fight, gets his ass kicked. I think it'd be really funny if Valkenhayn showed up and was like, Miss Alucard, you don't need to bother yourself with this, and Slayer just knocks him into the sky, does a little haiku, is like, alright, where were we?
That would be great, yeah.
And I think it's also neat because it's like, Rachel technically cannot use the full extent of her powers, because she's meant to be an observer. But in the event that her powers would interfere with the course of fate, with the way things are supposed to go, she cannot use her powers to interfere with that. However, Slayer is almost entirely defined by doing side quests that are not that important to the flow of the world and just the way things go. So, just fighting with him to kill time would probably be a pretty good excuse for her to like go all out.
Yeah, I just love. It'd be so much energy to the fact that neither of them would sell like the entire fight. Like the killing blow is probably going to be the only major blow.
Yeah, I like the idea of Rachel summoning just like an enormous fucking like typhoon of wind, and Slayer counters it with just the wind from his fist.
I like the idea of subverting the whole like powerful guy finally gets the dream fight he always wanted, but instead when like the moment comes where Slayer realizes he actually needs to put in effort, he's actually not that happy about it. He's like, I really don't want to though. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. Just like a fucking child.
He's like, this should be entertaining, and then as soon as they're like actually starting to push each other, he's like, oh,
this sucks. So, okay, I said there's
no, because like that's an aspect of Slayer's personality that is brought up every now and then of like he doesn't like it when he actually starts losing. I think the main reason that was is because he was losing to Bedman, who's like the biggest shitter in Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
Where it's like if he was losing in a fight against like someone he respected, like Soul or someone in like the Assassin's Guild that he trained, there might be a little bit of pride there. There might be a little bit of like, okay, that was fun. Because it was Bedman, he's like, man, fucking whatever.
I love some of Slayer's like reactions to instant kills, where he just doesn't give a shit. Like when Jacko does her dive kick, and all the characters have their like big reactions, and Slayer's just like, okay, like he's so uninterested.
Or when Dizzy like blows herself
Dizzy
up, he's just like, damn.
He's like, I guess I'll give in. That was a pretty good showing. Or when fucking like May goes to shoot
He's like,
him at
damn,
the
that was
cannon.
uncalled for.
Like May goes to shoot him at the cannon. All these characters like trying to beg and all that, and he's just like, can you aim slightly more to the left? I think my house is more in that direction.
Yeah.
It's so good. There's so much personality with him. Oh, but we'll get to Slayer.
But no, Rachel also like matches so much better than Dimitri of just like how dapper Slayer is. Like I think her poshness and his dapperness play off each other very well. I think as well.
Aggressively British episode to not include an actually.
Rachel is unambiguously one of the most powerful characters in BlazBlue. Dimitri's definitely up there in Darkstalkers, but even if he is canonically one of the strongest characters, it really doesn't feel like it sometimes, because every time he gets a new power buff and is able to like keep up with someone, he loses anyway and looks like a complete bitch afterwards.
There's a big
Bro
difference.
Lost to Belial so fucking hard, and then went and licked his wounds for like I think like a couple hundred years, absorbed all these souls from humanity, and then came back. He's like, now I'm gonna take the throne, and Morrigan is just like, hot no, kicks the shit out of him. Then he absorbs Pyron's power, goes to fight Jeddah. Jeddah's like, hot no, beats him anyway. So it's like at every turn, Dimitri's just a fucking loser.
There is a difference between being one of the strongest characters around and feeling like one of the strongest characters around.
Yeah.
Like, there's an important distinction there. Moving on. I said there's no Tsubaki. Technically, that's not true.
Who the fuck is White Justice?
This was my suggestion, because I thought, what's a character from BlazBlue Don wouldn't know? And I racked my brain. I was like, oh.
Is this a visual novel character?
Yeah. I believe she is.
Okay.
White Justice is a hypothetical alternate timeline of Tsubaki from... fuck.
Now, alternate timeline in the same way that, like,
I believe
Naoto is an alternate timeline Ragna, or...
She's like from a she's like the Hakumen for Tsubaki, basically.
Okay, gotcha.
Down to like the thing she's wearing is like a counterpart to the Susanoo.
The Susanoo unit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
gotcha.
White Justice is going to be a fat no, as funny as it would be, because just do Tsubaki.
And then Yuki Terumi. I think Yuki Terumi. Yuki Terumi versus Oscar Kreutz, aka that man from Guilty Gear, would go kind of fucking hard. I know some people like him versus another guy from, I think, some other Arxis game, maybe Under Night. I don't remember for sure.
Terumi versus Under Night matchup. I know Sinestro.
Because I've not properly gotten into Under Night.
Smells of wheat.
But Terumi would be really cool to see, I feel.
I agree. I like Terumi quite a bit.
And if it's all the same to you, it's about 2:30. I think this would be an okay place to call it wraps for this.
That's it for today. We end on approaching Kratos versus Spawn and Vegeta versus Shadow with God of War, Spawn, Dragon Ball, and Sonic. In other words, we're going to get through God of War really quickly, sleepwalk through Spawn, right, Bomberman Dig Dug, sleepwalk through that as well, probably, and then actually talk about Dragon Ball and Sonic.
Who the fuck do they even have for Dig Dug?
Puka, Mr. Driller.
Justifygar, they spelled it wrong. Okay.
Oh, that's rude. I believe my suggestion is in there. My suggestion for Dig Dug.
What, Masuyo Toby?
Yeah. I mean, you could call her that.
But yeah,
I'd call her Kissy Baraduke, but yeah. Anyway, that's it for today. Goodbye, everyone.
bye bye.
I'm glad he said it.